Hello everyone, I'm going to explain my talents, gear, and strategies for the solo run. As stated in the beginning of the video, this is in no way a feat of strength. I just thought it would be fun to solo a dungeon. As you can see, I'm a prop pally and my item level is 196. Nothing too major. This character was boosted a few days ago, so the gear isn't anything too crazy. I still have the boosted starter weapon, which didn't help me very much. As for the legendary I'm sporting, it's the Bulwark of Righteous Fury. I decided to go with this legendary for extra AoE damage on the trash pulls. A 150% increased damage to my Shield of Righteousness helps a ton. However, I'd imagine if you tried to solo higher difficulty dungeons, you'd likely want to avoid using Shield of Righteousness and focus more on World of Glory for healing. For trinkets, I just have two basic trinkets, the Anima Field Emitter and the Soul Cage Fragment. Both help with extra DPS. As for my stat priority, at this moment in time, I'm just focusing on gearing up, so my stats will be all over the place. 14 crit, 9 haste, 26 mastery, and 10 versatility. I'd imagine you'd want to focus on haste and mastery as your two primary stats. As for talents, here's what I decided to roll with. Again, this most likely isn't the best talents for this. This is just what I felt comfortable using. I went for Holy Shield for the 15% increased shield block chance and the passive ability to block spells. The damage it provides isn't too major, it's just a little thing that can help. It helps, being able to block spells helps during fights where magic damage is more frequently used than physical damage. And as for the second row, I used First Avenger. The Avenger shield hits 2 additional targets, meaning it can hit up to 5 targets. Which automatically increases the Shield of Righteousness damage by the max amount. And it also provides an Absorb Shield for 100% of the damage it deals. So, I use this for sustain. I know Crusader's Judgment is the more popular choice for prop pallies, especially for the damage and the Holy Power generation. But just for sustainability, I went with First Avenger. You can choose whatever you'd like. The third row, I went for Blinding Light. I chose this because it allows for just another interrupt. Hammer Justice and Repentance would also be useful, but I just like the AoE Disorient. It helps with certain packs. This one didn't really matter too much. I just chose Unbreakable Spirit. Reduced cooldown on Ardent Defender. I didn't really use Ardent Defender too much during the run. Divine Purpose was the one that I went with, although Seraphim is a really good talent for just a raw stat increase. Divine Purpose allows for more uptime on Shield of Righteousness and World of Glory for extra damage. For this row, I went with Judgment of Light for just the small amount of healing it provides. Consecrated Grounds and Hand of Protector I didn't really see the use for, and Judgment of Light just increases my sustainability by just a little bit. And then for the final row, I went with Sanctified Righteous Protector. Which it doesn't really matter, it just reduces cooldown on Avenging Wrath, which more uptime on damage and healing and crit is always nice. And now let's talk about the strategies that I used. When fighting the Houndmasters, be sure to use Hammer of Justice or Blinding Light on them to disorient them, so they can't increase their pet's damage, or else you'll be sustained heavy damage. And also, when fighting the pack with the Shard of Halkias, be sure to interrupt the Depraved Collector's spell Collect Sins, as it summons in a bunch of extra mobs that can do a lot of damage to you if you're not careful. But other than that, the fight to the first boss is pretty simple. And for the first boss himself, you'll have to kite him around to not be standing in the blood puddles he creates. He summons blood puddles when he throws debris and when he does his little ground smash. And as a solo prop pally with the gear that I'm using, it's just an endurance test. Being able to deal enough damage while also keeping yourself alive. He didn't really have any major mechanics to look out for, so he was pretty simple of a fight. And as you can see towards the end, I made a mistake. I accidentally pulled an extra mob pack, but the boss was on low enough health that I was able to take him out pretty easily. The second boss is also very simple. I focus on the boss more than the adds he summons. He only dealing damage to them when I use my AoE attacks, like Shield of Righteousness, Consecrate, Avenger Shield, Divine Toll. When they die, though, make sure to position yourself so when he does Stone Shattering Leap, he kills the adds. Other than that, super simple fight. The third boss is a pretty tricky to solo, however. The ghastly Perisher that she summons can only be dealt with by leading it into one of the anima containers. There are 4 of them during the fight, and they do not respawn. Once these 4 are used up, the only thing you can do is to tank the damage. Using Shield of Righteousness less during this phase is the smarter option, so you can prioritize World of Glory for extra healing. Other than that, though, also pretty simple. Inquisitor Cigar wasn't too bad of a fight, just annoying. I had to kill every enemy in the room before I could even take him out. He would just keep healing. And for the final boss, Lord Chamberlain, he's a bit of a pushover. He doesn't really have too many hard mechanics. You just have to avoid the telekinetic attacks and be sure to interrupt the Ritual of Woe so you don't take too much damage during the fight. But as a whole, Halls of Atonement wasn't too hard of a dungeon to solo on the normal difficulty, but I'll definitely try to solo heroics and mythics once I get better gear. But until then, it looks like I'm stuck sticking with groups to do dungeons. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll probably be trying to solo Theater of Pain next on heroic or mythic. We'll just have to see.